I jumped out of my chair if you didn't see it. I can't do a spin. I can't go turn around. Guys, I missed the old intros. Frick this. I jumped out of my chair. You probably saw it. I didn't know what I was going to do on that one. I can't do a full spin because guess what? Hold on, I gotta see if I jumped out the chair. You barely missed it. All right. Today's gonna be a heavy topic, so we're gonna get into it. We in the stew, baby. We in the stew. It's always a good feeling to be in here with you guys. You know I love hanging out. We are gonna get into a few things today that are a little bit heavy, so I hope you're prepared for that. It is going to be a few different topics touched. I'm gonna go off today. I'm not gonna lie. You know, as you're healing and working through a lot of your own stuff, you'll see that unfortunately you're not the only one going through the same things. And I feel like I'm watching the youth of the world get attacked, and I can't stand by and not say anything about it. It's just, you know, I felt very unprotected as a child. Didn't feel like I had what I needed to be protected. And I feel like that's my biggest job as a parent, as someone who loves my kids, that, you know, I can't stand to watch other children just be freaking put through the ringer. There's too much of it. And, you know, obviously it's personal to me because of Tylee and JJ, but that's not the only people that are going through this. So recently I was watching Sean Ryan, and I'm going to actually play the clip for you because it's just too important. We're going to jump into how this is happening. I think this is the most trying time. So let me give you a little background on what happened. I was watching something and it went from that video to a Chris Hansen video. And I haven't watched Chris Hansen in a long time, catching predators, right? And it jumped to that video. So I watched it. I think I watched 3 or 4 different episodes, and they all are kind of the same things, right? I've never done this. I am not going to do this, whatever the case is. But I think in this day and age, because it has never, ever, ever been this technologically advanced, we have our kids getting attacked at younger ages in more intimate ways. So I want to get into that, and we have a lot of a discussion to have today. It's a very hard topic, but I don't see it being talked about very often. It's just not. And I understand that it's probably a little bit more impactful to, yeah, you watched it, Tess. It's probably a little more impactful to have caught a predator than to just discuss it. But obviously the best thing we can do right now is start a discussion amongst ourselves, spread the word, and make sure that people are, you know, their kids are safe. And what's happening and what I'm seeing is that these predators are infiltrating where kids should feel safe, and they're getting into the school systems. They're getting into places you wouldn't expect there to be someone like that. So we're going to get into that today. I'm going to show you the clip from Sean Ryan. It's just too important. This is specifically about Roblox. And you know, I've always heard little things about Roblox. I don't pay attention to it. I don't have kids that play online games like that. You guys know I like to game, but I'm usually on my console playing a storyline. I don't really play online. So I had to kind of figure out a little bit more what was going on here. And this is just a great example of just listen to this. And this is just a short clip of this.
They wonder why. Like, why do you think these people took the job in the first place? Do you think that they weren't a predator? They weren't a pedophile prior to taking the job? Like, they've always been one. So
yes, exactly. And what he just finished saying, because I didn't want to play that whole part of it, is people are wondering why this is happening on a regular basis. It's because people who take certain jobs, unfortunately, have these horrible things that they're doing or like already. They're already predators, and then they take positions where they're specifically working with children. And we'll get into that in just a minute, but I want you to hear this part specifically about Roblox.
When they're on Roblox, and it's the largest children's game in the world, obviously
it's the largest children's game in the world.
Yeah.
By the way, Sean is very angry in this video. Very angry, so there's going to be some cussing, just so you know.
Yeah, largest in the world. So when
Largest children's game in the world doesn't want people on the platform saving fucking kids.
that's
Are
exactly
you
right.
fucking listening to this shit, people?
He's pissed.
The largest
And he has every right to be pissed. And I'm not laughing at him being mad. It's just he doesn't go off as much like this. This is obviously my blood was boiling listening to this. This is the reality though. What happened was, and I'm just gonna give you the backstory because we can't play the whole clip, as you guys know. There was a young man who was being, groomed on Roblox. And I don't know what happened. I didn't get enough of that story to give it to you. But basically, he turned into what he called himself a vigilante. So he flipped over and started to infiltrate Roblox. And he actually got 6 men arrested that were predators on Roblox. Like 6 different people that obviously this guy knows about. And what happened was Roblox came out and did a cease and desist and explained why he was banned for life. So they banned him for life because he was stopping the infiltration and stopping the predators from being able to continue to do what they're doing. So this is why when we talk about these conversations, to stop this stupid censorship of like this conversation can happen, why would we even try to protect people who are going after children? Why would we protect that topic, even if it has to do with a company? Your job as a company, especially if it's to do something and in the children's world, is to protect them, number one. That's just your number one job, protect those children. And so what happened is this guy was online getting these people arrested. Roblox blocks him, bans him, and tells everybody that he's been publicly banned because he's not playing the game. He's not role playing. He's only in there to cause issues or whatever the case was. And it's a big problem because this is like anything else, right? It's like that there's the innocence curtain of, oh, it's just a video game. It's just cute, until you realize that there's a lot more going on. So that's kind of the backstory to what they're talking about.
largest video game platform in the world doesn't want to take any fucking measures at all to save kids. In fact, they made a press release discouraging it.
Yes.
So they literally went out and explained that they're banning the man who's a vigilante, who is catching the predators, probably by luring them in and getting them to incriminate themselves. I'm assuming is how he's doing it.
A cease and desist.
Cease and
Sorry,
desist
not a
press release. Both.
In the
He's so pissed, bro. And I was the same amount of pissed he was.
and you're fucking paying this platform money. There's millions of people that are going to listen to this, and I'm fucking telling you, you are paying.
He's so mad. So what's happening, what he's explaining is, in the game Roblox, just like almost every video game, there's virtual currency. Now remember, Roblox is an online game, so everything you do is like interactive with other players. You go in there and basically people have free reign to create a room, and in that room you can play tag, you can play cops and robbers. It's basically anything that is happening on there is, you know, anything that you're listening to or are going on there with is some kind of like scenario, and you basically role play that scenario. So that's what's so scary about it is I don't know how else to explain it other than that. Like it's just one of those games where it's not really like a specific type of video game. Like Fortnite is very one thing. Exactly, Winks, perfect example. Roblox is thousands of different kinds of games. So it's very appealing because it's not just one thing. Like every other game kind of is like, you know, open world this, but Roblox is like basically do everything. And it's for kids. Let's just keep going back to that point. It's for children. And people go out and buy the currency, right? You go buy those little cards and give the virtual, it turns into the virtual currency in the game so the kids can do more, buy more skins. All these video games do that to make money. So that's how that works, because Roblox is a free game. The way they make money is get you to invest into your character, invest into your skin, all kinds of stuff. Whoops.
You are complicit in this shit.
100%. And let me tell you some more, Sean. So Roblox if parents have their kids playing on it, it's, if you're familiar with Fortnite, there's a similar in-game currency called
He's gonna explain the currency right now, just so you guys know.
Bucks in Fortnite, and Roblox is called Robux, like ROBUX. So if you went to Target or Walmart or CVS right now, we could go buy a Roblox gift card that a kid can cash in the game, and they get.
And that's the thing. It's like these are being given as birthday gifts because it's an innocent thought from the person to give a kid what they like to do, which is play games, right? Play games with your friends. This is what I wanted to really start to and explain to us as parents. And as a young parent, you know how scary it is knowing my kids are going to grow up in the most technologically advanced era of all time, because obviously by the time they're older, we're going to be way ahead of where we are, right? The thing is, it always is like, okay, that's a cute clown, right? And it's like the shade of innocence that these predators hide behind, right? It's the literal wolves in sheep clothing. And that's the problem, is you have to pay more attention than ever, because the problem with these predators is that they're more tactical than ever before. And so they're going where the children are. And it's just to have this conversation is so effed up, and it's so sick. And I can't believe we even have to sit here and have this conversation. But the fact that there's tactics and there's people sharing tactics, it is a whole nother level of sickness, but we'll get to that.
A Robux balance. So they'll get it for their birthday presents, or their parents will buy them these cards, which allows them to buy like outfits in the game or access to do fun things. And
see, it's an incentive. It's an incentive for you to go out and spend money, so that way your kid can do the thing they like spending a lot of their time doing, which is playing. And it's a very easy game because I think it's cross-platform. I think you can get it on your computer. You can do it on your Xbox. You can play it anywhere. It's being completely infiltrated by predators.
Actual kids' games, right? Well, there's these public games where developers, like you and I, could be a developer for Roblox by just signing up to be a developer.
That's the biggest issue right there. There's no vetting for that. So, and what he means by a developer, remember how I explained. So if I wanted to create a game on Roblox, I could go in there, from what he's saying, and just be a creator and say, I want to create a freeze tag, but we shoot each other with real freeze guns, so you turn to ice. Okay. And if I wanted to do that, I could go in there and sign up and do that. And I could just be a developer. So what happens is, they get you to come into these games, and then you make friends online, right? These online friends. Oh my gosh, we will go down the rabbit hole after this with the online friends, but we'll keep going.
A game, Roblox will host the game, and then everything that's purchased by these children in-game purchases, they make 30% commission on.
So there you go. There's another reason why we need to start talking about this stuff. Is this a conversation where this is about the money? It's only about money at this point. And if it is, and this is all about money, and it's not about safety, then forget it. Because obviously, if you knew your game was being infiltrated by predators, you have enough money to spend to make sure that doesn't happen. Let's just put it that way. It shouldn't even be possible, but it is.
So when they leave up a server that is talking about, child porn, in that example, they use CP as the term. And then there's other servers where they're blatantly wearing 764, shirts as characters. They got upside down crosses. They got satanic symbols. They have people in the chat logs talking about grooming.
It's insane. It's insane. These are grown people who get together on Roblox. What you don't know about this interview, and I don't want to spoil it, but I'm just going to give you a reason why you understand the 764 thing. In this interview, this whole thing, basically there's a group, apparently it's literally called a cult, and this cult in Roblox exists, and they're recruiting, and they literally have a very big group from 20 to 30,000 people. Let me re-explain that, because I'm about to start cussing. 20 to 30,000 people in this cult group that are recruiting and grooming, and they have certain servers where they specifically go and have these meetings on how to do this stuff. Okay. And one of the things that happens in these video games is that they learn teaching each other how to infiltrate and how to recruit people. But this whole 764 cult is next level satanic, bro. Not only are they having upside down crosses and the satanic stuff and the grooming and all this stuff, they're causing children to do self-harm. They're having them do stuff on their own time, because what they do is they target specifically lonely kids or curious kids. They're getting them to send pictures. Like, my stomach is turning as we're sitting there. Like, I'm getting goosebumps, because this is like, the fact that this is happening on a video game that should be your kids can go online and be safe, that doesn't exist the same anymore. You can't just allow our kids to get on a game and have fun anymore. And it's kind of what Kelsey and I talk about as young parents is, I don't really feel that safe about letting my kids go ride their bikes around the neighborhood and kind of go do their thing, kind of like how I did, right? It's so quick to what is now happening in the world that it feels like it's worse than it's ever been. There's tactics because of online. There's a spread of the same minded people gathering together, and there's agents of chaos. And we have to be aware of this, whether you have children, grandchildren, children you love. I'm not trying to scare you, okay? But you have to be aware of the reality that this stuff's happening in the most, let's call it, innocent of places. That's the problem.
All these things, but they're profiting directly off of this stuff. And you know, they don't have, to my knowledge, it's like it being the largest game in the world comes with some responsibility. You know?
Deep responsibility. If we start a server and it's yours to run, and all these people join this server, it's your responsibility to make sure crap like that isn't happening.
For kids. And I believe you should have a full team full of people that are familiar with child crimes working in your content moderation team. And if you don't, then you should be hiring these quote unquote vigilantes that you're kicking off the platform that are getting
there you go, exactly,
arrested on your platform.
They're getting guys arrested because they're soliciting stuff.
You should be hiring them because obviously they're making more of an impact than Roblox is, at least publicly.
Roblox doesn't want to make an impact.
Yeah, this is why Sean. This is the thing about Sean. If you guys don't watch his show, you don't have to agree with what he thinks and feels, but he brings on a lot of guests with a lot of different perspectives, and it is bad. It's horrible out here.
Want this shit happening.
I guess.
They want this shit
guess.
happening.
It's hard to believe,
Otherwise,
yeah.
they wouldn't be sending fucking cease and desist letters to people who are trying to save kids.
Yeah, wait. I mean, let me just pull up the press
People
release.
are fucking supporting this shit.
Yeah, that's the problem, and that's why Sean's so upset. He's also saying it's really a call to parents. Our job as parents is specifically to teach our kids the way to go, how to, at their each age, how to walk the path, so they have the tools by the time they get on their own, how to handle these situations. And you know, Kelsey and I talk about this all the time with our oldest daughter, and for all of our kids. When you introduce things, when you have these conversations, they need to be aware of things. You don't scare them, right? But like, you have to, at some point, you have to know when they need to know things. If they're going to school, they should know certain things, because things can happen at school. Other kids can, there's a lot that can happen, right? And so having conversations with your family, especially as a dad, for me, is the most important thing I'm supposed to be doing. And making sure my daughter is not scared or put fear in her heart, but she needs to know that I'm teaching her how to protect herself. That's the biggest problem. She needs to know that, because I don't want her, or at least if she sees something and it scares her, she knows that we've been talking about it, she would feel comfortable enough to come to me. Whoops, keeps going out of it.
I want you to hear the title of this.
It's fucking wild.
The title of this
Wild.
thing, Roblox,
I mean,
press release, vigilante. Look at this.
Release?
Why we remove vigilante. If I might
So
be
the
off.
press release that he's talking about is why they went out and chat saying, okay, I turned it up. Let me know if it's too quiet. I turned up the volume on here.
Off by a little bit, but third problem, because it made people, you know, a lot of people I'm sure took their kids off of Roblox, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there's 75 million daily users.
Do you hear that number? 75 million users a day on Roblox. Let's say at least at least 80 to 90% of them being 15 and younger. Maybe.
And another thing outside of child predators, Roblox, I'll show you a picture with it. But before I show you the picture,
this is insane, by the way. Like, you can have your opinion on this. This is insanity at its absolute finest. Wait for this.
ton of Charlie Kirk There's a ton of Charlie Kirk assassination simulators in Roblox that are public.
In Roblox, there are simulations of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Simulations that kids can literally participate in. Listen to what the kids can do.
Publicly facing that any child can join, that are very graphic. Some are photorealistic, some are cartoon, where they can play the role of the shooter.
You can literally pretend to unalive someone as a child, and you have access to that as a simulator to a game. I don't give an absolute F about political views here. Tell me that's not the most disgusting shit you've ever heard in your life. You can simulate to be the freaking shooter. I don't care what your political views are. This isn't about politics. People make everything political. This has nothing to do with politics. This is about our children being able to simulate, to actually participate in a public killing. Like, what the hell is that?
They can watch in the crowd as he bleeds out. They can, any child can join this, and I have photos of it so you can see.
This is on the most popular kids game in the fucking world.
Yes.
So he's gonna show him he's gonna show him the pictures. I don't think we see the pictures, but he's gonna show the pictures.
So here's some screenshots of Roblox. If you join my Discord server, you'll see real CP.
So they're literally out here because I think in Roblox, if you haven't seen, maybe we can do, because I have this right here. We're going to go into this. This is very important, but if I could show you guys, let's just keep going a little bit longer. I want to show you a little bit of how Roblox works, just so we have context to why this is such an important conversation.
That's just one. Swat us, we dare you. You're based in your mother's basement, but look at that. That's there is another
Pentagram.
one. Yep. The Roblox in-game chat references twist sexual fantasy 764 and the age of young gamer.
So 764 is an online cult that is recruiting people through Roblox. First of all, they're recruiting members, and then their members are recruiting children. That's what's happening right now.
So if you look in there, join / that name, that's a very popular group for the comm.
So they don't even hide.
Is the volume better now?
They don't even hide.
Comm girl on cam / where the comm girl's at. Comm girl meaning like a girl.
They're telling you what they're gonna do before they do it.
Well, not all the time. Sometimes they lure them straight in here and they don't. In this case, they're straight up saying where to go.
This is one of the biggest things, right? This interview goes on. If you guys are interested, this is the entire interview right here. His name is Matt Montgomery. I've seen him before. Basically, he breaks down this whole entire thing right here, and he is a hacker, and he's helped take people down, basically. So he's taken down a lot of these people who are doing this stuff, and rightfully so. And that's kind of the thing that needs to be, this is why this is not being exposed. Unfortunately, even in that last video, he goes on to have a conversation about how that he has brought this to a lot of people and in mainstream media and all these people, and they wouldn't even pick it up. They wouldn't touch this topic because it's just such a hard, shocking topic. And I cannot stand that. Like, I don't care if if people want to leave our channel and our community because of this conversation, you have every right to express that free will, and I wish nothing but the best for you. But these conversations not happening at all and allowing this to continue to go on is it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. How in the world can we stand by while this is happening? And it's happening like we talked about before. When I've listened to other stories about people who have been put in these horrible positions or preyed on, it was back in the day when they had to be in person. You don't even have to be in person anymore. You can do all of this online without meeting a single person, and you never have to ever come in contact with them because there's so many things like streamings and Skypes and everything that they're getting you to do. And so this is we've never been in this kind of situation where there's so much tactical things going on with these groups so they can get close to kids, so they can do what they want, which is what's so unbelievably sickening. Okay. I want to go through this. So we're just going to read this. Like I told you guys, this is going to be a heavy video, but let's just get into it. So between 2021 and 2023, reports on online enticement exploded by 300%. That's not a typo. The National Center of Missing Exploited Children received 186,000 reports in 2023 alone. By October 24, they already logged 456,000 reports. Think about that. 456,000 children were targeted by predators online in less than 10 months. That's more than 1,500 kids every single day. Every single day. That leaves 1,500 children who were targeted specifically. Okay. So this is where we need to break down what this is, so we understand if you ever experience this or there's ever any conversations. And the problem is, they're very strategic. They're disgusting predators, and they're going to go ahead and whisper and tell the kids to just keep it within a certain bounds, right? So online child exploitation is the gateway drug of the predatory behavior. Information and communication with technology means SA or S exploit children. Here's what makes it so insidious. It doesn't start with S content. It starts with the understanding. The predator becomes the adult who gets your teenager when you don't. They listen to complaints about school. They offer advice about friend drama. They slowly become the most important person in your child's life. Online grooming works because it fills real emotional needs before it becomes S. I have to stop and tell you a story that also inspired today's video. Yesterday, I was listening to a bunch of different people's stories that they submitted into a bigger YouTube channel that they talk about like things they've gone through. And one of the conversations was this young man was going to his uncle, who was a licensed therapist, and he was telling him about where he was at in his life. And he really trusted his uncle, so he was telling him his uncle everything about himself. He said, I talked to my uncle about everything, and he knew everything about me. And the uncle started to, so then the kid starts sleeping and having the worst dreams of his life, nightmares, night terrors, like to the point where he didn't want to sleep. And he kept going to his uncle and saying, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm having the worst nightmares of my life. The uncle basically told his nephew that you should start being a little bit more disobedient with your parents, because every time he was dreaming, it was about his parents, or he was dreaming about his parents abandoning him or something like that. So he thought he's like, well, he's 10 years old. He thought my uncle knows what he's talking about. He's a therapist. And, so so for a couple of days, he tried that. He tried to go completely out of his way to be more difficult with his uncle or with his parents. And his parents are like, you're really out of character right now. He said, I'd do anything to get out of those dreams. But he's going to somebody he trusts, right? He's bringing himself to his uncle, who he trusts, who's a therapist. And long story short, one night he wakes up and he's having one of those nightmares, wakes up midway, and his uncle's in his room whispering in his ear. And he screams and his uncle runs out. But before that happened, I forgot to tell you, his uncle was telling him that he needs to free his body. So he's already grooming his nephew to free his body, and who knows what was coming. The dad chased the uncle out of the house. They were on vacation, and they found a bunch of books where the uncle was reading on how to induce, basically, whatever the best word would be for this, nightmares. like literal books about dreams, like studying how to give someone nightmares. And this is where the spiritual side comes in. So we can kind of go into that another time. But the uncle was like learning on how to like, and basically make the kid have these dreams this whole time. And then the uncle was arrested for all the materials that he had. He had a briefcase he kept with him 24/7. And you guys can use your imagination on what they found in the briefcase. But my point being, that's why I stopped to tell you this, is that it's going into this realm where your kids should be coming to you to talk about this stuff. You have to open that line in that relationship ASAP, because they need to know that they can have these conversations with you before, you know, they get roped into these things. And that's what these guys do, is that they're the friend that you didn't have. They get you, they're predators. It's like think about the wild, like, you know, they're like that. They're waiting to pounce and hunt, and they're disgustingly pervertedly covert, and they're doing anything they can, you know. That's exactly the problem. And it's getting to this point where we have to have this conversation, because I've been hearing it. It's just so often, and even reading your guys' stories. And I don't want to try to make this too personal or trigger anyone, but like, so many people have experienced this when they were a child. And now it's like, look at that, even 1,500 a day, just by statistics that we know of, by the way, that we just know of, that we're actually aware, which we know statistically doesn't even match what's actually out there. This is happening on a regular basis, and they're targeted. And this is through all social media, by the way. This is through Instagram, TikTok, Roblox, anywhere a child is, this is where they're coming in. And they're specifically trying to get information from the child so they can come in and do what they want and get them to trust them and build a relationship with them. Very, very sick. Okay. Online child exploration begins what seems like an innocent friendship. The abuse escalates gradually, making it harder for the children to recognize when the normal conversation crosses into exploitation. This exploitation often involves requests for personal information, photos, or eventually meeting in person. Now, that's the other thing too. That whole 467 cult, they're the ones that have been getting pictures in here. So they're getting pictures sent to this group because the kids are taking these pictures. And it's just like, it's a hard conversation to have. Okay. Then the harassment's getting even darker. They start to take pictures. They're exploited on every platform. If you go back to what our interview just was, what happens is a lot of these kids, one kid actually unalived himself on a live stream in front of that group because they told him to, and he set himself on fire and did it on a live. And the group was watching, and the guy, if you go watch that full interview, the guy has them laughing at it while they're watching it happen in real time. We're talking about some of the most unbelievably sick, twisted things that you could possibly imagine coming to life, and kids not knowing how to handle this, right? You go watch that interview. It's hard. It's heavy. Sean Ryan is somebody who gets into stuff like this, where you talk about stuff that seems to be off, but you have to. I mean, you have to. Imagine I'm going to cry, bro. This just sucks, man. Like, so many kids, bro. We're seeing this so often. Like, I just think about my kids, but there's all these other kids that I see that I love, and you just want the best for them, and you want to protect them so badly, and your desire is to protect your kids, and that's your desire, and you just want kids to not have to think, you know? Me and Ray were just talking about this the other day. We were talking about how fast everything goes, and it's like, your kids should be thinking about their Christmas presents right now. Like that should be what they're thinking about, or the next snack they're going to have. Sorry. This is just it's a very, very heavy topic. We've been talking about this for a while on our channel, obviously. And the fact that there's people who wait to pry and prey on young minds and go after them and hurt them and ruin their lives or take their lives, it's beyond acceptable to me. And I bring this topic to us because we have people we love. Exactly, Joy. We have to be the ones that stand in the gap, because there's not going to be one swoop where everything that happens and everybody just is like, oh yeah, no, this is wrong, we're going to stop this happening on this platform. We have to be the ones that instill this into our kids, and our kids need to know how to handle life. They should feel prepared, and obviously you do it by their age, but I feel like our entire job is to teach them the way. That's our job. And even if they weren't taught by their parent, if we have a grandchild, you can help them lead in that way as well. And that's why we need these conversations to happen more. Like I said, it's just a heavy topic, and I've been hearing it so much lately. It's just everywhere. I see it. I mean, it happened in my own family. Like this hits me in my core. Like I know Tylee was a teenager, but she was so young, and she didn't have, like, no 16-year-old has the mentality to know what's going on and go there. No matter how mature you are, smart you are, you're still a 16-year-old. And so my point being, this is all happening though on a regular basis. We've been covering this, we've been talking about it. All these cases of parents unaliving their children because of their mental state. It's really heavy. It's not only though the S abuse. It's not the S abuse only. It's a coordinated online harassments, money, trying to grab money from these kids, getting them to do things that they would never do. And then this is the point. The choice is yours. Don't wait to have these conversations with your kids. Don't think there's a better day than today. Don't think that there are better times to bring it up, or you don't want to interrupt them or scare them. You can come up with a way that you need to do that. And one thing I always want to promote in our community is just bringing these conversations here, so we can have these bigger conversations where this thing isn't just brushed over. I know that Sean Ryan has a huge platform, and I'm glad that he has conversations like this. It's a big deal. You don't have to agree with people on everything to listen to their points of views. So I just want to put that out there. But these conversations go beyond the scope of any political party, any religion. They go into, like, we all need to have this conversation. And at the end of the day, that should be our goal. Our next generation of the people that we love shouldn't have to be sitting here going through this because we're not protecting them. And it's more, this is why I also brought it up, because how many people know that this is even happening? How many people know on how innocent this should be that this is happening? And, like, going into, even with watching Chris Hansen, and that was 2005, whatever years that the Predator show was on. I don't know if it's still happening, but even back then, the conversations online on those forums, and the same kind of, things being said besides every single person. And they all say the same things to them and tell them the same, try to get them to tell them details, and they get, the men usually pry on the young girls. But I want to also say something else. There's let's not exclude women prying on young boys or young girls as well. It says there's no gender to this. There's no gender assignment to people who are going out and being abusive towards children. This is not a gender. It's not just men, and it's not just women. It's both. And it can even be more covert. And I've seen it, unfortunately, hearing these stories, it was women as well. And they're doing the work for the men, or they're doing the work on their own basis, whatever's going on. It has no exclusion here. We're at such a bad point that I'm hearing this on everything that I go by. Right? I'm hearing it everywhere I go. Like every story I'm talking about, survivor stories that I'm listening to or seeing, anything, it's part of their story, or it's the main part of their story, but it's happening. And this is such a big deal, and it's not being talked about. So I'm grateful for our community. I'm grateful for you guys having a real conversation. It matters to me for us to always try our best to help, hopefully, other parents. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's freaking uncomfortable. Like, I'm not trying to act like this is some easy conversation. It's not. And I know that this is not something you want to spend, time having to think about, right? Like, I couldn't even watch the movie The Sound of Freedom. I watched maybe the first 15 minutes. I couldn't make it. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't even sit there through it. It was too hard to watch. It was too emotional, and I couldn't do it. And so I get that. And I get that these things don't come easy. But if we don't protect our own children, if our homes and our protection over our children are not the most important part of our lives, then we're messing up as parents, because that is our number one goal, is to not just protect them, but teach them how to protect themselves at some point, and what they should be looking for, and trusting their guts when something feels wrong. And I just want that to be a part of this conversation. And I just can't stand it. I can't stand watching these kids go through this and then have to live the rest of their entire lives with a decision that they didn't make. They didn't make this choice. They didn't want this. They wanted nothing to do with this. And here we are. Here we are, having this conversation. Right? And it wasn't even just that. It's exposing them to things like we talked about, that simulator, exposing them to things. What child should even see that, even in a virtual world? Right? Would you want your child to simulate a horrible event and watch that, even if it was a video game? Right? Should we have a 9/11 simulation, or is that the sickest thing you've ever heard of? It's not funny. It's not okay. And by the way, I'm not comparing those two things to one another, but like, what are we doing? This is crazy. I don't care what anybody is like. I don't care what side you lean on. That has not, like, the kid. Why would a kid need to be able to simulate that? Ever? What adult would want to simulate that? And I understand, like, there's video games that are gory. Like on Pop Culture Poppy, we play Fallout, and it like has people, it has fake blood, whatever. But like, we're not simulating it to a 5-year-old. You know what you're doing when you pick it up, and you know it's not real life. Their bodies, their minds are not developed enough to freaking understand the difference. They don't know that. They don't know how to separate their feelings, and their brains are undeveloped. Literally, they're little kids. Their brains have to have time, and they need a lot of reassurance. They need a lot of things about their lives need to be breathed into them. They need to know who they are. They need to have their identity spoken to them so they can grow up with a sense of self, to learn who they are, to learn their self-worth. That's our job as parents. And the more I see how our world is going, it's going the freaking wrong way. We're going the wrong way. It's getting worse for these kids, and they're growing up in a completely different generation than even we did. And it's going to be like that for the rest of time. Every generation is going to have a new set of problems and a new set of things that they're going to have to deal with that's different. I feel like for me growing up, I was born in 96. Like I still played outside majority of the time. TV was very simple still. There wasn't streaming. There wasn't availability of video games like that. We didn't have online stuff. Like we weren't doing that kind of stuff. We were outside playing, enjoying our lives, you know, picking up a stick and playing Halo. Like you still had that kind of feeling, but it wasn't like this. Like it wasn't like this. Right? People trying to get money or becoming your best friend with a mob, with the people like in a group or a cult coming after kids to indoctrinate them early on to get them to do what they want. Even if they never meet, they never have a conversation, they're doing it through the online stuff. I wanted to have this conversation, have awareness. Please, if you can, you know somebody who will join this conversation, let them bring their comments. I want to know what you guys think and feel. And, you know, just share this with people. Let people know. Let people know about Roblox. It's a big problem. It's not normal. That's not okay. And you know what? It's not okay to have this kind of stuff happening in life where our kids are being exposed to stuff. It's not okay. It's not funny. It's not acceptable. And yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, it's going to be each parent's job to go out and make sure their kid is safe. That's what it should be. You know what, Lisa? That's kind of what I wish life was still like. I wish I felt safe enough to send my daughter to just go meet a bunch of friends at the park and play soccer down the street and then come home for dinner. I don't. I've heard too many stories. Too many. So you have to make sure that they have safety within a certain measure. You don't make them stay home all day and do nothing, but you have to teach them so they have tools, and you just keep moving them forward. And again, it's like all good. All things have good and bad, right? Too much pizza is not good, right? So allowing them to do things, have fun is fine. The problem is specifically when it comes to these online stuff, they are being targeted, and predators target young people. And I'm going to go out and say another thing, like even older 20-year-olds going in for the mid-teens, same thing. Like that, just because you're 16, 17 years old doesn't mean you should be with someone who's freaking 25, 26 years old. That's not okay. Let's just stop making that normal. That's total BS. Your maturity at 25 and effing 15 are not even on the same realm. Not normal. Not okay. That's its own version of predatory stuff. Young girls, young men dating way into the deep 20s. No. That's not normal because your brain is still developing as well into that time. So I'm laying it out there. I don't give a frick today. This is just something that is just too heavy on my heart. And the stories, you wouldn't believe how many stories I've heard lately. You wouldn't believe the videos I've seen and the similarities and this is before this. These are even like people who have grown up who share their stories later. We're not even talking about what's happening now and how it's coming even in getting worse and worse and worse. Because think about how many social media sites we have. Think about this stuff going on. Think about how accessible the outside world is to you as you and I sit here together. Look how beautiful it can be. We can have a community online and talk about this and create something real. But on the flip side, it can be used for the exact opposite and create evil and do all that stuff as well. It has a good and a bad side. We just have to be aware. So I just want to leave that with you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this hard video. I know it's not an easy topic. Going into this week, Just so you know, our new schedule is always going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. This Saturday, we are doing Share Your Stories. So if you have not submitted a story, you can send me an email at askcolbyj@gmail.com for your story. And you can also tell me if you don't want me to say your name, if you don't want anything like that, that's okay. You can be anonymous. We can read your story. We're going to spend a little bit more time this Saturday for sharing your stories. And just know that, you know, I think having our stories is one of the most important things in this world, is making sure that people get to hear not just from me, not just my point of view, but yours as well. So if you have a story that you'd like to have read, we'll be doing that on Saturday. I'll post that thumbnail for you. I'll let you know what time it's at so you guys can be there for that. But that is our new schedules, Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. We might have videos where we just pop in and kind of talk about other things. And I think that's what our community is built off of, is just continuing to have conversations. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Love you. And I'll see you very soon.